Hello and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are group 3 from BA114 5D. In this video, we're gonna talk about Yinson company analysis. Firstly, let me introduce you to our group members. At first, we have Muhammad Daniel bin Yusaini. Next, Muhammad Hazim Ezarik bin Muhtar, Muhammad Aiman bin Rosfridin, and me, Muhammad Syafiq bin Muhammad Syahril, and lastly, Muhammad Azmi Haikal bin Norazmi. Company introduction. In 1983, Yinson was founded by Lim Han Wang as a humble transport and logistics company in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Thanks to an unwavering commitment to excellent customer service and on-time delivery, the little company grew progressively. Today, Yinson is one of Malaysia's leading energy infrastructure and technology companies. Yinson Holding Berhad is also traded on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. This company division is divided by 4 divisions, which is offshore production, renewables energy, green technologies, and offshore marine. Yinson vision is to be a global energy solution provider that is known for being reliable, open, adaptable, decisive, and sustainable. The company mission is passionately delivering powerful solutions.
Structure is the percentage of different categories of asset owned by a corporation as seen in the balance sheet. Current asset of Yinson Holding is increasing throughout the years, with the highest in 2020 with 1,077 million. Yinson Holding Berhad fixed asset indicate an increment in fixed asset from 2018 to 2019. The fixed asset for the year 20 are shown slightly decreased from 2019. The current asset of Alam Resources Berhad for year 2018 are 482 million. It was reduced to 449 million in 2019. Until 2020, the current assets for Alam Resources Berhad is 401 million. Alam Resources Berhad fixed asset indicate a reduction in fixed asset from 2018 to 2019. The fixed asset for the 2019 and 2020 are still the same, is stated as 66 million. The financial structure is the manner in which the finances of a corporation are funded. Yinson Holding Berhad is 2018 287 million. It indicates a positive indication as current liabilities decreased to 51 million in 2019. The outcome appeared to be more with 671 million in 2020. Next, the non-current liabilities of Yinson Holding Berhad in 2018 is 383 million, and the non-current liabilities for 2019 are increasing to 584 million. It shows a positive result in 2020, which decreased to 486 million. Yinson Berhad stockholders' equity has shown a promising indication as it grows year on year as shown in the diagram. Shareholders' equity for 2018 is 1,099 million. It increased to 1,101 million in 2019. After that, in the year 2020, is reported 1,106 million. The current liabilities of Alam Resources Berhad in 2018 were 76 million. However, in 2019, the current liabilities of the company rose to 77 million. Lastly, the existing liabilities appears to be better than a year before, as it is 69 million. Next, the non-current liabilities of Alam Resources Berhad was 15 million in 2018. In 2019, it increased to 65 million. However, in 2020, Alam Resources does not state its non-current liability for that year. We have assumed that Alam Resources has no non-current liabilities in 2020. Shareholders' equity for 2018 is 369 million, and in 2019, it's 406 million. Lastly, shareholders' equity continues to spike to 422 million. This is an indication of improvement in its shareholders' equity. Next is horizontal analysis. The first one is current ratio. Current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligation for those due within 1 year. For the year 2019, Yinson recorded the highest current ratio, which is at 3.77 times compared to 2020 and 2018. Quick ratio is used to calculate a company's ability to pay debt without relying on liquid current assets. For the year 2019, Yinson recorded its quick ratio at 3.77 times, which is the highest compared to the year 2020 and 2018. It indicates that in 2019, Yinson had the highest ability to pay without having to rely on illiquid current assets. All the net working capital of Yinson company shows that the company has a stable financial condition because all the net working capital is positive. For debt ratio, it shows the percentage of total funds provided by creditors. For the year 2020, Yinson Corporation measure is the highest debt ratio, which is at 44.13% compared to the year 2019 and 2018. For debt to equity ratio, it indicates how much creditor for every 100%. Lower means less exposure to financial risk. Yinson recorded its highest debt to equity ratio in the year 2020. Yinson fixed asset turnover in the year 2018 is the lowest, which was 0.08 times, but in 2020 it was the highest, which was 0.26 times. For asset turnover ratio, is for investors analysis to gauge a company's ability to produce revenue from its assets. So in year 2018, it was the lowest, which was 0.07 times. The year after, total asset turnover was 0.20 times. For this increment, we know the higher the total asset turnover, the more efficient Yinson Holding Berhad is at generating revenue. In year 2018, Yinson's net profit margin was 32.09, which was the highest among all the years. For the year 2018, return on asset, it was the highest percentage, which was 70.40%. Unfortunately, return on asset for years after that, it was decreasing as the percentage for the year 2019 is 12.21%, while for 2020 is 8.47%. For 2018's return on equity, the highest percentage was 23.06%, which means that Yinson Holding Berhad pays nearly 23 cents for every ringgit of equity to investors. But for the year 2019 and 2020, their ROE was reduced, but the investors still got the high return value from Yinson Holding Berhad. Firstly, the earning per share for Yinson are decreasing from 2018 to 2020. Next, the highest price per earning ratio for Yinson Corporation is 29 times in 2019 and the lowest is in 2018. The rising price per earnings ratio indicates higher future stock prices and better returns to stockholders. Next, the book value per share recorded the same average price, which is RM1.01 in 2020 and RM1 in 2018 and 19. The dividend payout ratio is decreasing from 2018 to 2020. It indicates how much of its earning a company pays up to stockholders in the form of dividends. In 2020, the dividend payout ratio is 2.7%, which means that Yinson Corporation pays 2.7% of earning as dividends. Next is
vertical
analysis. For liquidity ratio comparison, the higher ratio is the better. In 2020, Alam current ratio and quick ratio is at 5.75 times and 5.74 times, compared to Yinson, which is at 1.61 times both for current and quick ratio. Alam has a higher current and quick ratio for the year 2020 compared to Yinson. This is because Yinson does not keep any inventories for the financial year 2020 and Alam have a larger total of current asset and current liabilities. Yinson debt ratio is larger than Alam for the year 2020 because Yinson is currently funding their new projects and expanding their business all over the world. Hence, Yinson debt to equity ratio and long-term debt to equity ratio is also higher than Alam's. The reason why Yinson leverage ratio is higher than Alam for the year 2020 is because Yinson is currently taking loans to fund their new projects and expanding their business all over the globe. For comparison on fixed asset, both companies are 0.26 times and 3.8.9 times. This shows Alam is efficient in using their assets to generate more sales, generate more revenue per ringgit of investment in fixed assets. Comparison total asset turnover for both companies are 0.15 times and 0.55 times. This shows Alam Maritime is more efficient because they are good at generating revenue from its assets. For profitability ratio comparison in 2020, Yinson net profit margin is better compared to Alam Maritime. Higher ratio indicates more efficient in generating net income. Return on asset for Yinson is higher than Alam, indicating that Yinson is better and effective in managing both its profit and asset. Yinson return on equity is also higher than Alam. That means Yinson pays more than Alam for every ringgit of equity to investors. Firstly, Yinson has higher earnings per share compared to Alam Maritime Resources. Next, Yinson has better price per earnings than Alam Maritime Resources, which means it has higher prospect for the company and better runs to shareholders. Besides that, Alam Maritime Resources Berhad has a higher book value per share and it represents the difference between the total asset and total liability for Alam Berhad. Lastly, Yinson Corporation has a high dividend payout ratio with 2.7% compared to Alam Berhad with 2.4%. This means Alam Maritime Resources Berhad investors earn less dividends than Yinson Corporation.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Hazmi Zarid bin Mokhtar and today I'll be explaining you about the risk analysis for Yinson and its competitor Alam. So, what is risk analysis? Risk and return analysis are conducted to evaluate and estimate the risk and return of the companies with market indicator. Next, it is used to hold a regression analysis between the share price of the analyzed company against market indicators. And it is used to initiate a security market line to know the value of the company. Based on the risk and return analysis table, expected return is used to measure the average return of a security. The purpose is to show the change percentage of a price in a year and a half. As we can see at the table, the expected return for Yinson is at 13.39, while Alam Resources is at 56.29. Next is standard deviation and variation. It is used to measure risk and to identify the ability to take risk. As you can see from the table, Alam Resources variance is at 72.8394, while Yinson is only at 3.5508. The standard deviation of Alam is 8.5346, while Yinson is 1.8843. Therefore, it shows that Alam Resources is far more riskier than Yinson. Next is coefficient of variation. It is used to measure the relative variability of risk per unit. The table shows that Alam Resources has 37.165 while Yinson Holdings have 34.4747. That means that Alam Resources is far more riskier than Yinson Holdings. Regression analysis. Regression analysis is a statistical technique for estimating the relationship among variables. It focuses on the relationship between dependent variables and independent variables. From the simple regression analysis table between Yinson and KLCI, it shows a positive relationship between variable X, return on stock, and Y, return on market. Increase in X by 1% will increase in Y by 0.0629. In addition, if X increased by 1%, Y will be increased by 0.7653. X is simple regression analysis between Alam Resources and KLCI. It shows a positive relationship between variables X and Y. An increase or decrease in X by 1% will increase in Y by 0.2637. However, if X decrease by 1%, Y will decrease by 3.1446. Concept of beta. Beta coefficient is a measure of market-related risk that indicates how the price of a stock responds to a market force. The beta for market portfolio is equal to 1.0. The beta for Yinson are 0.7653 while Alam is 3.1446. It shows that both stocks are moving in the same direction as the market since the stocks are in positive value. This also means that Alam stock's price is more responsive to change compared to Yinson and more riskier compared to Yinson as Alam beta is far more greater than Yinson beta. SML line. On the SML line, the risk-free rate used is 3.38%. The graph shows the relationship between risk and the return for company Yinson and Alam Resources. The expected return for Alam Resources by using beta 3.1446 is at 15.91%, while Yinson Holdings, the beta used 0.7653 and the expected return is at 5.95%. Both stocks are suitable for the risk adverse because they are on the undervalued side of SML line. However, Yinson Holdings are more lower risk compared to Alam Resources Berhad. The company intrinsic value. Based on the table above, earning per share Yinson is positive and greater than EPS Alam. This indicates that Yinson is more profitable than Alam. Next is price earning. The price earning for Yinson is 15.29 times. This shows that the investors are willing to pay 15.29 times for each ringgit of profit generated by the company. Compared to Alam, its PE only at negative 0.35. This shows that Alam company is making a loss for the year 2021. For dividend payout, Yinson paid the investors with dividend in 2021, while Alam does not provide their investor with dividend during the year 2021. Next, the market value is determined by the demand and supply from the market. Yinson's current market price is higher than its book value and it indicates an overvalued stock, while Alam current market price is lower than its book value. Thus, it indicates an undervalued stock.
The next is I will explain about comparison of KLCI versus stock. So, as we know, KLCI Bursa Malaysia Index is benchmarking tool for the Malaysian industry. So we use KLCI to compare with the chosen firm to know price behavior movement. For the first is comparison KLCI versus Yinson for intermediate term. All of comparison for intermediate term starting from 1 March 2021 until 27 December 2021. From March until August, Yinson moved down forward followed by KLCI movement. Yinson start rising from August until the end of the year because the effect from budget 2020 and double bottom spotted on KSCI line. So there is a strong buy signal for investor. Comparison for short term is starting from 1 December 2021 until 31 December 2021. Both of KSCI and price movement move to uptrend aggressively due to good of sentiment, such as rally on Wall Street. So this show a buy signal. The next is comparison KLCI versus Alam Maritime Berhad for intermediate term. Because of the stock beta more responsive to the market, the Alam price movement more aggressively moved to downtrend due to the decline from KLCI starting from May until December, and this indicates a strong sell signal. For short term, the both of Alam Maritime and KCI move to sideways because there is no active movement due to the Malaysian economy recovering from previous MCO. This trend indicates a buy signal for investor who want a low risk, low return. The next is we go to the trend analysis. Trend analysis is a form of technical analysis that forecasts a stock price movement in the future based on historical price data. Basically, for trend analysis, we use support and resistance SNR technique. The first is we go to the trend analysis of Yimson for intermediate term, which is starting from 1 March 2021 until 9 August 2021. Yimson show a downtrend movement based on the green line and continued move to uptrend on 23 August and make sideways trend on 11 October until 27 December 2021. Based on the blue line, we knew it's a good sign for upward movement and strong buy signal. For short term, starting from 1 December 2021 until 31 December 2021, based on the yellow line, there are sideways trend from 1 December until 20 December. On 21 December, Jinson started to break out the resistance and move uptrend until 31 December and also indicates a buy signal. For Alam intermediate term, the sideways trend starting on 1 March 2021 and the trend ends on 19 July 2021. Next, Alam may break out below the support line on August and continue downtrend until 27 December. It shows a sell signal for any investor who want to invest in this stock because there is a strong downtrend occurring in this stock. And the last for trend analysis is for Alam short term. We can see the most unattractive chart for any investor to invest because there is no slight movement during 1 month period. There is a sideways trend from 1 December 2021 to 31 December 2021 based on the yellow line. The shorter trend indicates a buy signal for investor who want a low risk and low return.
For the indicator analysis, we'll be using simple moving average convergent divergence MACD, relative strength index RSI, rate of change ROC, and lastly stochastic oscillator. The symbol that has been used up is the green arrow indicates a buy signal, while red arrow indicates a sell signal. For the first indicator is simple moving average SMA. We'll be using SMA 20 as our measurement line. We can see from the intermediate analysis chart in SON on the 1 September 2021 there is a buy signal because of the graph started to crossing above the SMA line. In the short term analysis, we measure the analysis for 1 month and we can see only a buy signal appear 21 December 2021. The graph has crossing above the SMA line and it indicates a buy signal. Overall for SMA line for Yinson, both intermediate and short term analysis indicates a buy signal. Next is the SMA line with Alam chart. As shown as the graph, Alam intermediate analysis shows a huge sell signal on the 29 March 2021 caused the graph below the SMA line. For the short term analysis for Alam also indicates a sell signal because during 1 December 2021, Alam graph downtrend and below the SMA line. Overall for SMA line, Alam both intermediate and short term analysis indicate a sell signal.
After that, for moving average convergence divergence MACD in Yinson intermediate chart in 6 September 2021 show a strong buy signal as the MACD crossing upward and also histogram above the zero line. For short-term analysis in Yinson, MACD we analyze for 1 month. As indicated in the chart, there is a buy signal on 22 December 2021 as the MACD line started to crossing above the zero line and also the histogram. Overall, for the MACD Yinson, both intermediate and short-term analysis indicate a buy signal. As for Alam MACD analysis, the intermediate analysis for Alam is not looking very good as there is a strong sell signal we can see on 12 March 2021, a huge MACD line crossing below the zero line and also histogram. It is continued the downtrend until 27 December 2021. And from Alam short-term analysis, the MACD is shown by a buy signal on 3 December 2021 because we can see a MACD line crossing above the zero line and also a bullish divergence has occurred. On the MACD line, we can see a MACD is uptrend while the graph is downtrend. Overall for MACD, Alam for intermediate sell signal, while for the short-term analysis indicates a buy signal. Next is the Relative Strength Index RSI. On Yinson intermediate analysis in August 2021, the RSI line is below the 30 line and it indicates an oversold, which means a buy signal. For the short-term analysis using RSI in Yinson, it indicates a strong buy signal on 21 December 2021 because the RSI is pointing upward combined with the bullish Marubozu candle. Overall for RSI Yinson, both intermediate and short-term analysis indicates a buy signal. For RSI Alam in intermediate analysis, there is a buy signal on 27 December 2031 as the RSI line below the 30 line indicates an oversold area. While in short-term analysis for Alam RSI, it indicates a sell signal on 31 December 2021 as the RSI pointing downward. Overall signal for RSI Alam in intermediate analysis, there is a buy signal, while in the short-term analysis is a sell signal. For the next indicator is rate of change ROC. For ROC indicator intermediate analysis, in Yinson on 29 December 2021, ROC is in the overvalue area and is pointing upward, which is a positive momentum and indicates a strong buy signal. Next, for the short-term analysis, we can see a buy signal on 20 December as the ROC line is in the oversold area and pointing upward. Overall for ROC in Yinson, both intermediate and short-term analysis indicates a buy signal. For Alam intermediate research with ROC, we can see in November 2021, a buy signal when the line of ROC is in the oversold area. For the short-term research for Alam in 28 December, the sell signal appear because of the ROC is line in the overbought area. Overall for ROC Alam, intermediate indicates buy signal, while the short-term indicates a sell signal. Lastly, for the stochastic oscillator for Yinson in intermediate analysis, shown in 30 December, there is a buy signal because the stochastic shows a crossing upward, which is the K percentage line above the D percentage line. In the short-term analysis for Yinson stochastic, we see a buy signal on 29 December because of the K percentage line above the D percentage line, but it's a little bit riskier because it's in the overbought area. Overall, for the stochastic for Yinson, both intermediate and short-term analysis indicates a buy signal. For Alam intermediate analysis using stochastic, there is a lot of fake signal that have been appear. It clearly shows Alam stochastic is in the downtrend direction, but in November 2031 shows a buy signal because of K and D percentage line is below the 20 line, which indicates a oversold area. For the short-term analysis Alam, the stochastic indicates on 23 December 2031 it's climb out into the overbought area and indicates a sell signal. Overall for stochastic for Alam, for intermediate is buy signal, while the short-term analysis indicates a sell signal.
For the company analysis conclusion, I would like to divide it by two, which is fundamental analysis and technical analysis. For fundamental analysis, the ratio analysis state that Yinson is high risk and high return and Alam is low risk and low return. In risk analysis, it state that Alam is high risk and high return but Yinson is low risk, low return. For intrinsic value, it state that earning per share for Yinson is positive while earning per share for Alam is negative. And based on the book value, Yinson is overvalued and Alam is undervalued. Next, we go to the technical analysis. The indicators that we use is SMA, MACD, RSI, ROC and stochastic. The indicators state all the signal is buy for the current investor and the future investor. Next, for trend analysis, it states that the trend analysis indicate a buy signal for Yinson because the trend is uptrend and sell signal for Alam because it is downtrend. for the company VSKLCI, it states that Yinson was on a good track. The price movement of Yinson was more stable than Alam and responsive to the KLCI movement. For overall conclusion, we will choose Yinson as our main investment because it has better fundamental and technical analysis than Alam. And lastly, recommendation. Based on fundamental and technical analysis, we share Yinson will slightly increase in the futures because there are many strong buy signal from SMA, MACD, RSI, ROC and stochastic. We share that the Malaysian economy is recovering from the pandemic COVID-19 is one of the biggest factor that the stock price will be moved upward in the future.